As we are rapidly approaching the release of the Vampire class from Ghostfire Games, I thought it would be a good chance to have a look at the only third-party class from D&D Beyond I have not done a review for, the Illrigger from MCDM, or Matt Colville Does Make. That's definitely what that stands for, right? 100%. I'm embarrassed by how long of a pause there was in between those. Thankfully, it'll be edited out. The Illrigger is kind of an evil paladin sort of vibe, and it is also complicated. So we're going to go through it all today. My name is Jason, if you didn't know that, and this is Dungeon Himbo, my channel where I talk about builds for your favourite characters. I do reviews for stuff like this on D&D Beyond. Occasionally I give advice on various things, like why your player characters deserve the end of their life, and why it's fun for everyone involved. Normal things. There are really no normal topics in amongst it. It doesn't matter. If you like the sound of any of that, please like and subscribe, and as ever, thank you so much for my channel members and the Patreon members and subscribers in general. I appreciate all of you so very, very much. Also, I am trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the month. It's just a nice thing to aim for, so if you are watching this and you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It like I said, it means a lot. You can hop into the Discord if you want to discuss any of this, but let's get to the review, shall we? It's me in a tiny little tube. I'm not in a tube. I am filled with weird energy today and I don't know what to do about it, so I'm doing a video. Normal stuff. Anyway, look at this artwork. The vibes on this class are undoubtedly immaculate and I'm in no way judging those. Yeah. This is a lot of words. This is from James and Casso. It's not. It's from Sadie Lowry. She had me in the first half. They basically redid this class for 2024. So this is technically the 2024, the 5.5e version of the Illrigger, but it lacks a couple of things I feel like it should have. The most notable one is a lack of weapon masteries. But hey, let's talk about Illrigger, shall we? You get 1d10 hit point die, you get proficiency with light, medium, and shields. In terms of the armor, you get simple and martial weapons, you get no tools, and your saving throws are con and charisma. You really want good charisma and want good physical stat in much the same way that you would with a paladin, which also means that they are multi-ability dependent, generally speaking, which is tough, but it also means that you can use a similar sort of cheeses like going all in on Shillelagh if you want to. But they have the same multi-classing skill requirements as well, so keep that in mind, and as you can see, you get a lot of stuff. Let's go through it, shall we? At level 1, you get Baleful Interdict. This allows you to, once on your turn, place a magical seal on a creature within 30 feet of you. You can place that as part of an attack that you make with any weapon attack, so you can be ranged or melee, which is good. Or you can use a bonus action to just pick a target and put a seal on them. The seal lasts for a minute or until it is burned, which we'll get to, and a creature with one or more seals is referred to as an interdicted creature. The seals are invisible to other creatures, and when you can see an interdicted creature, the seals appear to you as glowing glyphs. I read it as glowy glyphs, and my brain corrected me halfway through the word. You can only place a certain number of these per long rest. You regain all of these actually on a short rest or a long rest, so it's on short rest too, and the number increases as you level up. If an interdicted creature dies, you can use a bonus action in return to move all seals on them to a new creature as long as you haven't burned those seals. The duration continues to elapse when an interdicted creature dies, and when that seal is moved to a new creature. Burning seals. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of you that's interdicted takes damage from a source other than a seal burned by an Illrigger, that includes when you hit them, you can burn any number of seals on them to do 1d6 fire or necrotic damage. It's up to you, per seal burned. So if you have 2 seals on them, you can do 2d6 damage. You can only apply 1 per hit, so you'd have to apply, let me double check. It's only once in your turn, so you'd have to hit them in 2 rounds in a row to apply to, or use a class feature that does otherwise. You deal the damage immediately after the triggering damage. Burning doesn't require an action, but you can't do so while you're incapacitated, and once it's burned, it vanishes. Once you reach 5th level, the seal goes up to 2d6, and then it goes up again at 11 and 20, which is super weird. It should be 11 and 17. The idea of adding a d6 at level 20 is borderline offensive, in much the same way that the ranger going from a d6 to a d10 is preposterous. It's not the only thing you get at level 20 though, which is a key difference, but I do think the progression there would be better given that it's 5 and 11 if it was 17 as well to match cantrips. It would make perfect sense, and it really bugs me that there's not a more unified progression with these features. It really bugs me. Anyway, you get a saving throw for your interdicted seals and whatnot, which is 8 plus PB plus your charisma modifier, so you do want to put a fair few points into charisma, again in much the same way as a paladin. I will be referencing the class throughout talking about this one, because it's a very easy shorthand for the expectations you should have for this. Also at level 1, that was a lot for one thing, you get the ability to instinctively speak, read, and write in Infernal, thanks to Forked Tongue. You also get 2 other languages of your choice, which you can speak, but you can't read or write them. When you finish a long rest, you can replace one of these 2 languages, which means that you can run around talking to people in all sorts of languages, which I really like as a feature. It's very cool. And at 9th level, you get an additional language on this front, and you also gain advantage on your insight checks made to ascertain the intentions or sincerity of creatures, just in general. You're pretty good at reading people. Level 2, you get Combat Mastery. This lets you choose one of the following Illrigger combat masteries. It's a bit like a fighting style, and a bit, well, I guess it's closer to being like the Druid's Magician or Warden thing. So Bravado allows you to gain an AC of 10 plus your Dex plus your Charisma, which you can still use a shield with to gain the benefit. Brutal allows you to, if you hit a creature who is no more than 1 size larger than you, with a melee weapon that you're wielding with both hands, you can move the creature 5 feet horizontally. It's basically push. You can also spend your movement to move into the space they left, which is just how movement works. It's a weird little last sentence on that one. Inexorable is a +1 bonus to saving throws for each hostile creature within 5 feet of you, up to a maximum of 5. That's just really cool design. Big fan of it. Lies allows you to choose a melee weapon of your choice, and when you attack with a weapon, you can use a charisma modifier instead of your strength or dex, which negates the shillelagh thing I said earlier, so you can ignore that. Silly earlier, Jason. Shows how long it's been since I read this. Lissom, I think that's how that's pronounced. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can spend your movement to move 5 feet without provoking opportunity attacks, so you can just get in, hit them, and move out. That's a cool feature. It'd be really good on monks. I like monks. Or rogues, to be fair. And Unfettered, when you use your Baleful Instinct to place or burn a seal, the range is 60 instead of 30. This lets you do better ranged attacks, basically. And the Infernal Conduit feature you get level 6 is range of 30 instead of touch. In addition, making a ranged attack against a creature within 5 feet of a hostile creature does not impose disadvantage on the attack roll. Unfettered, Inexorable, and Lies are all probably the best ones here. The Unfettered one is like a bunch of feet rolled into one, all about ranged attacks. Ranged attacks are quite strong in D&D in general, so it's worth keeping in mind. Bravado seems really cool, but realistically, you're probably going to want to wear heavy armor unless you are a dex one. And then if you are a dex based Illrigger, medium or light armor is usually better, at least until you're at really high levels. So it's a tricky one, unarmored defense. Good for the fantasy though, right? Also, Brutal is just, what if we had the push mastery? It's the push mastery at home. It's the Timu push mastery. This is my issue with them not getting weapon mastery. If you're DMing for someone who's playing an Illrigger, please give them a weapon mastery or 2. They deserve it. Also at level 2, you get Interdiction. This allows you to infuse your seals with hellish magic power. You learn 1 Interdict boon from amongst the Interdict boon section at the end of the class's description. As you gain levels, you gain new ones, as shown in the table. Each boon must be at level. You can learn a 2nd level or a 7th level one, for example. Some boons allow you to expend unplaced seals to fuel abilities, while others empower all your seals or grant you benefits against interdicted creatures. The boons that grant passive benefits, such as the 2nd level Swift Retribution boon, are marked with a passive tag. You don't need to expend anything to get those. All other boons, such as the 2nd level Abating Seal boon, must be activated on a turn, for example by expending a seal. You can activate only 1 non-passive boon per turn, regardless of how many you know. Stinger is like a legal document. I think that's why it's tricky to... I don't think it is as complicated as it seems. It just sounds it. I feel like they were so meticulous with how the rules were written in this class that it comes off as being needlessly complex. We will talk about the interdict boons at the end of this. Let's get through the features first. Level 3, you get your Diabolic Contract, which is your subclass. You also get Invoke Hell, which gives you get 2 Invoke Hell options. Because of this, you get to choose which option you want to use, and then you have to finish a short or long rest to use your Invoke Hell again. Some of these require a saving throw. The DC equals your interdict DC. Okay. 4th level is ASI, nice and easy. 5th level is extra attack, nice and easy. Goodness. Thank goodness. Level 6 is Infernal Conduit. You have a pool of Infernal Conduit dice, which are D10s. The number of Infernal Conduit dice in your pool increase as you gain Illrigger levels, as shown in the Infernal Conduit column of the Illrigger table. As an action, you can touch another creature and spend 1 or more dice from your pool. The target must make a con save against your interdict save DC. A creature can willingly fail the saving throw. Roll the spent dice and choose one of the following effects. On a failed save, the target regains hit points equal to the number you rolled, and you take that number as necrotic damage. On a successful save, they regain half as much hit points, and you take necrotic damage equal to that total instead. Save or fail, the necrotic damage can't be reduced, and if it reduces you to 0 points, you fall unconscious and are stabilized, which is an interesting way to just put yourself to sleep, I guess. Maybe I could do that at the end of the day. That would be great for insomnia. Anyway, so with the sleep spell, that's a lot less painful and a much simpler way to do it. Although you have to concentrate on it, which you can't do when you're asleep. Makes you think. Devour means you can do damage and you regain hit points equal to the damage instead. Same kind of thing. Saved, fail, half damage, blah blah blah. Also at 11th level in the class, the target also gains a level of exhaustion on a failed save, which can be reduced as normal, and it can't suffer more than 3 levels of exhaustion combined from an Illrigger's Infernal Conduit features. You regain any Infernal Conduit dice when you finish a long rest. Then from 6th level, we jump all the way up to 10th level, with main class features, which is interesting. Blood Price allows you to, whenever you fail a saving throw, spend one of your hit dice and add the number rolled on it to the result of the save. You have a 1d10 hit dice. This is a pretty good way to boost your saving throws by an average of 5.5. Nice. It's also just a fun way to use hit point dice, so I'm here for it. Terrorizing Force at level 11. Your attacks are empowered with devastating might. When you gain this feature, choose a damage type: cold, fire, necrotic, or poison. When you hit with a weapon attack, you deal an extra d8 of the chosen type. You can choose a different damage type when you finish a long rest. I love the flexibility. It's very akin to the Divine Strikes feature from the Paladin. It's good. I like dealing extra damage. Although this, as with any of these rider things, massively incentivizes dual wielding above everything else. I don't know how D&D fixes the problem of this stuff, where making more attacks is just better. I don't know how you fix that. Once per turn things theoretically do, right? But Conjure Minor Elementals and Spirit Shroud and this kind of thing all still exist. That's not for now. Superior Interdict at level 14. Damage from your seals ignores any resistances that the target has. In addition, you can use a bonus action to regain a seal if you have none remaining. You can only do this once per long rest. This is fine. It's fine. Feels like a bit of a nothing burger to me, which is the follow-up to the Impossible Burger. There you go. I had an Impossible Burger ages ago. Beyond Burger sort of took over. Infernal Majesty at level 17. As a bonus action, you can channel the Might of Hell, gaining the following benefits for 10 minutes. You gain resistance to fire, cold, and necrotic damage. You get wings and a flight speed of 60 feet. When you use your Blood Price, you can choose an enemy you can see within 10 feet to take damage equal to the number rolled on your hit point dice. And when you hit with a weapon attack, your Terrorizing Force deals 2d8 damage instead of 1d8. You can also, if you die, choose to have your body disappear in a burst of flame, leaving behind only your equipment, and you reform 1d6 days later in hell. You then return to life and regain all your hit points. You can do this once per long rest. This is cool. It's just a good feature. Fly speed of 60 feet, damage resistances to 1 really common thing and 2 less common things. You get extra damage, and you can do extra stuff with your Blood Price, which is if you have to boost your save, you get to deal damage as well. It's just good. The capstone here is Master of Hell. Let me try and get the heat on screen. You learn to tear open a rift to hell and wreak its fury on your enemies. As an action, you can summon a Hellstorm on a point you can see within 150 feet of you. Choose one of the following effects, which fills a 50-foot radius sphere centered on that point. That is a large area, a large lad of an area. Inferno. Hellfire rains down. Each enemy in the area must make a dex save. On a failed save, it takes 5d10 fire and 5d10 necrotic damage, and they burn for a minute. On a successful save, they only take half the damage. A creature burning this way must repeat the saving throw at the end of their turn, taking 1d10 fire damage and 1d10 necrotic damage on a failed save. The Hellfire can't be extinguished by non-magical means. Pestilence. Foul miasma swirls around your foes. Each enemy must make a con save. On a failed save, they take 5d10 poison plus 5d10 necrotic damage and become poisoned for a minute. On a successful save, a creature takes half as much damage and does not become poisoned. And Darkness. Con save, 10d10 cold damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful one. Additionally, the storm's gloom persists for a minute, and each enemy within that area is blinded for the duration or until they leave the area. You can do this once per long rest. It's a really cool big boom AoE attack. It doesn't last, it doesn't stick around, you're doing the damage once. So I'd say this is a solid enough capstone. I like the flexibility. The Pestilence one is a little weak. Poison damage is quite heavily resisted in high level creatures, undead fiends, for example, although that makes sense. You are on the side of the fiends, objectively. And 2 of them being con saves makes it a little rough. Con saves are pretty good, obviously, and dex saves are also pretty good. So you're not targeting any of the weaker saves, with intelligence being the best one to target, generally speaking. But it's a cool feature nevertheless, and it's very flashy, which is nice. Interdict boons, I am not going through all of these. There are loads. These are the things that you can give yourself, basically. So we'll go for 1 from each for my sanity. Let's go for Soul Eat. For the level 2 ones, when you burn a seal on an interdicted creature, you can activate this boon to gain temp health equal to your Illrigger level. Cool. 7th level. Conflagrant Channel. You can expend a seal as a bonus action to teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Very cool. And 13th level, let's go for Hellish Frenzy. When you start your turn within 30 feet of an interdicted creature, you can expend a seal to become frenzied by the power of hell until your next turn. When frenzied, your movement speed is doubled, you have a +2 bonus to your AC, and you can make an extra weapon attack when you take the attack action. That's really good. To remind ourselves, you can activate one boon per turn regardless of how many you know. So you can use these as long as you have the seals to power them, making this a pretty good thing, especially as we can use a bonus action to actually get that back. Where's the table? Here's the table. How many interdict boons do you get? So you get 4 at max level and 7 seals at max level. That's a fair amount, along with 10 infernal conduit dice. So you're doing pretty well. The core class has a lot going on. It's pretty solid, and it's also quite flexible in a closer way to, I guess, the Warlock than the Paladin. You'll also note that there is no spellcasting. That is not to say that there are no spells in the Illrigger, because there are, but there is no spellcasting in the core class. Let's have a look at the 5 subclasses. We have the Architect of Ruin here. In much the same way that Paladins have tenets, these have precepts, which are kind of the general vibe. The Precepts of Ruin are the Asmodeus lot. They have the battlefield of the mind. By the time my army meets yours, you'll be filled with terror and doubt your own strength. I won't have to lift a finger to defeat you. The proper secret. Once I know your secrets, I know your weaknesses. Knowledge is power. Law is as powerful as steel. I learn every detail about my enemy and anticipate their every move, checkmating them before the game even begins. And magic is mine to command. Cunning is also as powerful as steel. Lots of things are as powerful as steel. I wield the dark arcane arts to manipulate your senses, weaken your resolve, and strengthen my blade. Your soldiers will quake for fear of what dark magics may next cloak my blade. At level 3, you get Asmodeus' Blessing. When Asmodeus accepts you as this, he grants you some knowledge. You get proficiency in Arcana, History, Nature, or Religion, and you can also read and write the languages granted by your forked tongue instead of only speaking them. So really cool little feature. You also get Spellcasting. This is at 1/3 caster level. Okay, so Eldritch Knight et al. So 2 cantrips, eventually becomes 3, you get up to 13 spells, you get up to 4 first level slots, 3 2 level slots, 3 third level slots, and 1 4th level slot. You know how spell slots work, I'm not going to go over that, and you can replace your spells when you gain a level in the class. Your spellcasting ability, unsurprisingly, is your charisma, and generally speaking, you have to use an unholy symbol as your spellcasting focus, which you must have a hand free to use it, but it can be the same hand you use to perform somatic components. Also at level 3, you get Invoke Hell. These are the 2 options you can use once per long rest, I believe, right? In Innovating Spell, when you deal damage to a creature with an Illrigger spell of 1st level or higher, you can expend a seal and imbue the spell with weakening magic. The target has vulnerability to that spell's damage. If they normally have resistance or immunity, the resistance or immunity is suppressed for this spell, and the target has vulnerability to the damage instead. This is pretty strong. You can also use an action to make both a melee weapon attack and cast an Illrigger spell you know that has a casting time of 1 action. So 1 attack, 1 spell, that's a big deal. Just checked. Invoke Hell is once per short or long rest, so that's good to know. Level 7, you get Hellish Versatility. Once in each of your turns, you can cast one of your Illrigger cantrips in place of one of your attacks granted by your extra attack feature. Solid, spellbladey stuff. Cool. You also get Asmodeus' Interdiction. These are special interdictions that you can choose if you want to do so. Axiomatic Seals. When you burn 1 or more seals to deal damage to a creature, you can activate this boon to add your charisma modifier to each seal's damage roll. That's a nice little boost. Spellbreaker. When an interdicted creature you can see within 60 feet of you casts a spell, you can use your reaction to burn 1 or more seals on them. When you do so, burning the seal deals no damage, and instead you just counterspell them. Without expending a spell slot, your counterspell's level increases by 1 for each additional seal you burn after the first. That's a really cool feature. It's just a shame counterspell isn't as good in 5.5e. And Hellmage at level 18, when you or an ally within 30 feet of yourself succeed on a saving throw against a spell or other magical effect, you can immediately place 1 or more seals on an enemy up to a number equal to your proficiency bonus. That is reminder. One of the 18th level ones lets you attack 3 times. So I don't think that's great. Level 11, you get Submit. When you cast an Illrigger spell, you can burn 2 seals on an interdicted creature to impose disadvantage on their saving throw against the spell. And Vile Transmogrification is your final one. You uncover 2 new ways to employ Asmodeus' magic. As a bonus action, you can expend a spell slot to regain a number of seals equal to that spell slot, and as a bonus action, you can expend seals to gain a spell slot equal to 1/3 of that number. Nice to know. right? You also get your spell list. Trouble with the third-party spell list like this that has a specific spell list instead of just being like, oops, you're a wizard, is this is stuck. So you're going to have to homebrew any additions to this from third-party things. The spell list itself is very fitting. It's all cold or dark or like commandy, which is good, and I'm here for it. But yeah, keep that in mind if you are thinking of playing a Hellspeaker, not a Hellspeaker, an Architect of Ruin, but you like the third-party spells, do talk to your DM, okay? I like the Architect of Ruin. It's got all of the classic things you want in a Gish. It seems pretty solid, apart from, like I said, the extended spell list. But you might not feel like you need it, and that's fine too. Hellspeaker. These guys are real mean. They swear an oath to Moloch, and they are very manipulative. If you don't like that, skip this subclass. My voice is a weapon, even when my enchantments fail. If my enemy hear me, they are mine. Doubt is certainty. I need not convince my enemy, only sow doubt and wait for it to bear fruit. Trust me, for each lie I utter, I tell the truth tenfold. One who always lies says nothing. I don't think that makes any sense. So they only lie every 10 times. My brother, he lies 10 times. I will tell the truth once. It's the other way around, but still. Very silly. Never tell the same lie twice. An overused skill becomes too predictable. Keep moving, switch targets, and keep them guessing. Oh. Moloch's Blessing at level 3. You gain proficiency in Persuasion or Deception. It's your choice. If you already have proficiency, you get Expertise. It doesn't say Expertise for some reason. It says your proficiency bonus is doubled, which is weird. What a weird way of phrasing that. In addition, you get an extra language from your forked tongue. Whenever you speak in a language granted by the forked tongue feature, your devilish influence is subconsciously felt by creatures who can hear and understand you, which means you have advantage on charisma checks to influence those creatures. You also get Charm Enemy. When you use your bonus action to place a seal on a humanoid, you can attempt to charm them. They must succeed on a charisma saving throw, be charmed by you for an hour until your companions do anything harmful to them. While charmed, they regard you as a friendly acquaintance, and when it ends, they know they were charmed by you. When you use this bonus action, you can burn one or more seals and other interdicted humanoids within 30 feet of you to attempt to charm them too. That's pretty cool. They take the damage first, and then they have to do the charisma saving throw. You can do this a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. I like that a lot. That's a funky way to charm people. You also get Invoke Hell. These are your 2 Invoke Hell options. You get Honey Sweet Blades. When you make a weapon attack against an interdicted creature, you gain advantage on that attack. If the attack hits, it becomes a critical hit. Shoot, that's wild. And that's thrown me. It's only once per short or long rest. It's fine. And Turncoat, as an action, you wield your manipulative tongue against your enemies. Choose a number of enemy creatures equal to your proficiency bonus within 60 feet of you who can hear you. Each target must succeed on a charisma saving throw or use their reaction to make a weapon target against a single target of your choice, which they can't move. So you have to like make them all hit each other if they're next to each other, basically. Cool. Moloch's Interdiction, level 7. Once you learn an interdict boon granted by this feature, you always know it. It doesn't count against the other ones you know. Red. Oh, I see. These are just additional ones. Okay, cool. I should have read the full text last time. That is my bad. Let me double check that was the case. Yep. Okay. Apologies to the Architect of Ruins interdictions. I did not know you got down like that. When you make a charisma check, you can expend a seal to reliable talent it. Cool. Slippery Ploy. This is 13th level. When a creature targets you with an attack roll, spell, or other magical effect, you can place a seal on them as a reaction to force the creature to make a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, they must choose a new target or lose the attacker effect. At 18th level, interdicted creatures have disadvantage on wisdom and charisma saving throws. That's quite strong, but quite late. Inent. You and a creature of your choice within 10 feet of you are immune to the charmed condition while you are conscious. Can you change that? Just any creature of your choice within 10 feet? Or is it just a specific creature of your choice while they're within 10 feet of you? I don't know. It doesn't say. Also at 11th level, let's make a deal. You offer your allies a deal at a price. As a bonus action, you choose a willing ally within 60 feet of you who can hear you. Once within 10 minutes, they can choose to gain advantage on an attack roll or saving throw they make and add a bonus to your proficiency bonus, equal to your proficiency bonus to the same roll. If the attack hits or the saving throw succeeds, they gain temp health equal to your Illrigger level. If the attack misses or the saving throw fails, the creature has disadvantage on the next attack roll or saving throw they make. Disadvantage can't be cancelled out with advantage in any way. A creature can only strike one deal with you at a time. You can do this number of times equal to proficiency bonus. This is just cool. It's really cool. It really promotes the roleplay of the whole thing, and I am here for it. It's cool. I said cool too many times. Quid Pro Quo is the final speaker at level 15. As an action, you can attempt to banish a creature within 30 feet of yourself. The target must succeed on a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, it's banished for a minute, after which time they return to an unoccupied space within the nearest space to the one they left. A target banished in this way can make the save at each of its turns, blah 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 blah. A creature who succeeds on this becomes immune to it for 24 hours. Additionally, when a target is banished this way, a devil jurist or a horned devil appears in their place, which acts as an ally to you, follows your commands until the banished creature is no longer banished, at which time the devil disappears. You can do this once per long rest if you are successful. So if you're not successful, you can keep trying. It's cool. I like that a lot. That's a really fun thing. A horned devil's not a bad thing to have access to, for sure. It's very thematically fitting. I think this one's probably a little bit weaker than the Architect of Ruin, but it's a little more roleplay heavy, so that's fun. Next is the Painkiller, which is just codeine and paracetamol for when you have migraines. Lead from the... Wait, who is this? Dispater. Lead from the front. I charge in at the front of every battle, inspiring my soldiers and terrifying my enemies. Whenever I go, I command. I don't take orders from those who don't have the will to lead. Victory at any cost. I respect the enemy leader and treat them honorably. But once swords are drawn, I use every trick in my arsenal to win, expecting them to do the same. And soldiers die. I care not for the lives of my soldiers, for they are resources I spend to secure my victory. At level 3, you get proficiency with heavy armor. That's easy. There's the vibe. This is the tank one. As an action also, as for Devastator, make a weapon attack and choose a number of wheeling creatures up to your proficiency bonus you can see within 30 feet of you. Each creature you choose can use a reaction to make a weapon attack or cast a damage-dealing cantrip with a casting time of 1 action. You can do this once per short or long rest. That's really cool. And your invoke hell options are: you can order your allies to follow your formation, choose 1 or more creatures within 60 feet of you who can hear you, up to a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus. Each target can immediately move up to half their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. And punishment: when a creature damages you with an attack, you can use your reaction to make them have to do a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they take necrotic damage equal to the damage they dealt to you with the triggering attack. On a successful save, they take half as much instead. That's pretty cool. I keep saying cool. My brain is melting. You see, it's not my fault. 7th level is Dispater's Interdiction. Dispater. Telekinetic Seal is the 7th level one. When a creature you can see moves within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to place a seal on them. If you do, they must succeed in a wisdom saving throw and either be pushed back or knocked prone. By the Throat is level 13. When you use a bonus action to move a seal on a creature who is no more than 1 size larger than you, they must succeed in a wisdom saving throw or becomes restrained until the end of the turn. That's pretty cool. And at level 18, your attacks against interdicted creatures score a critical hit on an 18 through 20. That's lovely. Very, very nice. This is the melee tank one. Yeah. Cool. We got it. 11 is you die on my command. So bossy. Some people will be really into that. When an ally within 30 feet of you who can hear you drops to 0 hit points without being killed outright, you can use a reaction to shout an order at them, causing them to drop to 1 hit point. Instead, you can do this once for short or long rest. That is so funny. So incredibly funny. Wonderful feature. 10 out of 10. And Death Strike for 15. When you hit an interdicted creature with a melee weapon attack, you can use your reaction to burn one of the seals on them to turn the hit into a critical hit. When you do, you also double the damage for the dice for the burned seal. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all uses on a long rest. It's very clear what this one is going for. I like the general vibe. The commanding thing is incredibly funny, but it means that a lot of the power is tied up in your allies, not just yourself. So it's a harder one to judge because of that. I like the flavor and the general structure of it quite a lot, though, especially because you can crit a lot with this thing. So big fan of that. Like, that's 6 crits at level 20, that at level 18, right? That's 6 crits guaranteed per long rest, which is amazing. And you can crit more from level 18 onwards anyway. Yeah, this is a great crit fishing build. Like, an elf crit fisher with elven accuracy, because you can attack using your charisma, is gonna have a preposterously good chance to critical hit. I am here for it. Sanguine Knights. These are the servants of, or the knights of Sutek. Let's see. Their strength is their weakness. I target the strongest of my foes. For the vitality shall feed my victory. Sin demands suffering. Opposing me is heresy. Before my enemies taste defeat, they must pay for their unbelief with agony. Loyalty rewarded. My boons lead my allies to depend on me and on the bloodshed that empowers me. And mercy is power. I grant succor to my allies. I prove how great my power is. Each time I restore life, it serves as a reminder how quickly I can strip it away. Level 3. You get Exsanguinate. You can drain enemies to embolden your allies. When you burn 1 or more seals on a creature who isn't a construct or undead, you can choose an ally within 30 feet of you. That ally gains temp health equal to the damage dealt. That's really cool. Stop saying cool, Jason. There are other words in the English language. You write for a living. Goodness me. Nobody said you write well. Quiet. Sutek's Blessing. You gain proficiency in religion. In addition, as an action, you can expand the awareness of your life around you. Until the end of the next turn, you can sense any creatures who have blood within 120 feet of you without having to see them. The ability can penetrate most barriers, but is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt. You know the distance and direction of each creature, as well as the creature's type. You can do this number of times equal to a proficiency bonus. That's a really fun little feature. Fun. See? There are other words. Other words. I probably said fun too many times too. Invoke Hell. Embolden allies. As a bonus action, you restore a total number of hit points equal to 5 times your Illrigger level, divided however you choose between you and other creatures within 30 feet of you, and Vitalize. I'm testing my pronunciation today. You can flood your allies with invigorating vivacity. For 1 minute, each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you gains a bonus to ability checks equal to your proficiency bonus. That's fantastic. If you're going through a bunch of traps and stuff, you could speed run through that with these. To text interdiction, level 7 is Foul Interchange. As an action, you choose a creature you can see within 30 feet of you and expend a seal to end all the following conditions on them. Blinded, charmed, dazed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. It explains what dazed is here. You're not going to use it unless you are using it. So, I don't know what to say there. Another creature you can see must succeed on a con save or suffer the same condition until the end of your next turn. If that creature is immune, they don't suffer, but the condition still ends for the original creature. Level 13, Sanguine Gift. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of you regains hit points, you can expend a seal, and the creature regains additional hit points equal to your Illrigger level. That's pretty nifty. That's an extra 13 hit points. Just straight away for expending a seal. Very cool. No action required either. I like that one a lot. Blood for blood. When an ally takes damage from an interdicted creature, the interdicted creature takes necrotic damage equal to proficiency bonus. I mean, that's just all the time. So if an enemy is attacking a lot of times, it's not a huge amount of damage, but like, let's say it's 18 damage to every creature you've interdicted on a turn. That can add up pretty quickly. I like it. Bloodstroke. The magic that shields your allies now saps their enemy's strength. When an ally who has temp health from your exsanguinate feature is hit by a melee attack, they take cold, fire, or necrotic damage equal to your Illrigger level. That's like Armor of Agathis, but accidentally. Very nifty. Hamel Exchange. I don't know why I pronounced it like that. Hamel Exchange. You have mastered the ability to innovate enemies and endow allies. Endow's not a funny word. Grow up. When an interdicted creature within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll or saving throw, you can use your reaction to burn seals on them to transfer their power. The target must roll a d8 and subtract the number rolled from the triggering attack roll or saving throw. You can then empower an ally within 30 feet of you. The next time they make a roll or save, they add a d8 to the attack or saving throw. Oh, that's maybe the most disappointing high-level one we've had. It's fine, and it could potentially change things up, but it takes your reaction to do it. I don't like that as a capstone feature for the subclass. I get what it's going for. It's following the same structure and role, but I don't think it's doing it very well. Yeah, I don't think I like that one. The rest of the class is very solid. Healing Marshal is a wonderful thing to behold. A final class is the Shadow Master. Look at this edgy person. These people swear an oath to Belial. Plans within plans. My enemy must never discover my true goals. If needed, I will sacrifice myself to protect my schemes. But then you can't scheme. That doesn't make any sense. Positions of power. I control everything from the shadows by knowing who to deceive and where to hide in plain sight. Power in patience. I study my enemy methodically, build their trust. My loyalty must be unquestionable, so my inevitable betrayal is unthinkable. If it's inevitable, I think it's pretty thinkable. Hesitation is failure, though I usually rely on agents. When the opportunity presents itself, I can unhesitatingly kill with efficiency and precision. Alright, marked for death at level 3. You have advantage on your first attack against an interdicted creature on each of your turns. That's very solid. Strike from the dark. Once per turn, when you hit an interdicted creature with a melee weapon, and you have advantage on the attack roll, which you always have on your first one, you roll a number of d4s equal to your proficiency bonus and deal extra damage equal to the total you rolled. This damage increases by 1d4 if the target is in dim light or darkness. It's like a little sneak attack. Alright, Invoke Hells. You get, as an action, you can cast Disguise Self without expending a spell slot, and No Escape. As a bonus action, you call on the shadows to entrap a creature you can see within 30 feet of you. Must make a charisma saving throw, made with disadvantage if they're in dim light or darkness. On a failed save, the target's speed is halved and they can't move more than 30 feet away from you willingly. The effect ends if they are more than 30 feet away from you or they're incapacitated. Those feel a bit naff compared to the other ones. Oh well, you do get advantage once per turn for free, so that's nice. Although you'd have permanent advantage if you had the Vex weapon mastery. So, Belial's Interdiction, level 7. Veil of Lies is the 7th level one. As a bonus action, you expend a seal to become invisible for 10 minutes or until you attack or cast a spell. That's cool. Hell's Assassin, level 13, is a passive one. You're going to roll a 1 or a 2 to determine the damage of your seals. You can re-roll the dice. Okay. Dark Malediction is also a passive. Interdicted creatures radiate darkness in a 10-foot radius. Mundane sources of light can't illuminate this, but creature with dark vision can see through it. If any of this darkness overlaps with an area of light created by magic or psionics, the overlapping area of darkness is illuminated by the light. So this is less about, yeah, it says, so in this big section here, it's less about stopping creatures from seeing, although that is going to happen here and there. It's more about making sure you can do the dim light or darkness things more often. So I get it. Level 11, we get Umbral Killer. You gain the following benefits. You gain dark vision out to 60 feet. There's no way you don't already have dark vision with this vibe. If you already have it, range increases by 60. Good. It's wild that you only get that at level 11 when you're covering people in darkness. Goodness me. That should be at level 3, the dark vision thing. Your movement speed increases by 10. You have advantage on stealth checks made to hide. Whenever you make a dexterity saving throw, take half damage on an effect, you take no damage in case you get evasion. I mean, evasion's nice. The movement speed bonus is nice. The dark vision is awful. That's awful. That shouldn't be a level 11 feature. Doomed to the shadows, you have perfected your assassin strike. The extra damage from your strike in the dark increases to a number of d8s equal to your proficiency bonus instead of d4s, and you deal an extra 2d8 if the target is in dim light or darkness. In addition, when you deal damage using Strike from the Dark, you can use a reaction to burn a seal on the creature, causing them to be blinded for a minute instead of dealing the seal's damage. That's pretty solid. That's not a bad final feature. So the weak feature here is the first bit of Umbral Killer, just because Dark Vision is something that you're probably going to want to have from the get-go if you're going to be playing this subclass. Yeah. So that is an interesting one. This is like the assassin ninja rogue one, right? I like the extra damage. You can be attacking with your charisma. You definitely want to be a dex one for this one. Interesting. I think overall the subclasses are pretty strong. The Sanguine Knight has the worst capstone, but the flavor of all of them is very solid, which is the most important thing in my opinion. I think the only thing that Illrigger really needs is weapon masteries, and it's really, really weird that this is the updated version and they didn't get it. Like I said, if you have an Illrigger or you are playing an Illrigger in a campaign, I would recommend asking your DM, or as the DM, giving some weapon masteries. Maybe just one, maybe a couple, to complement the fact that this is a martial subclass, basically. The only other martial that doesn't get weapon masteries is the monk, which is another very silly decision in my opinion. Monks train with weapons. Martial artists in general train with weapons. It's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. It's a whole other video, potentially. Anyway, overall, I really like what the Illrigger is doing. I do think it reads like it's really complicated, but I think in practice, if you're playing this from 1 to 20, it's never going to feel as complex. There's just a lot of extra resources to keep track of. It's a bit like the Pugilist in that front. There's just a lot of stuff, but I like this as a martial design more than something like the Rogue base level, where you don't have much to track apart from the fact that you're doing one hit, right? I would rather we have more complex martials than the complexity just be left for the spellslingers in D&D. So I also like the Gish spell subclass here. I think that might be the strongest one, although the one I would be most interested in playing is likely the Sanguine Knight. The idea of being a healer without having any magic is kind of wonderful, so I am here for it. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's a fascinating class. I'm super glad it exists. And if you haven't bought already, you now know everything you need to know about it. I think it's probably worth the investment if somebody you know wants to play at it, or if you want to play at it. So that is that. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I put a fair amount of effort into these videos and a fair amount of my time into them as well. Not that I enjoy doing them. I'm not complaining. If you want to check out other stuff, there will be videos there that you can click on for other stuff. Whatever, I might just leave it to YouTube to recommend some other videos to you. But that is it for me. I hope that you are well and you continue to do well. I hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead of you, as this is a Thursday video. And that's it. Please subscribe. Thanks. Yeah. Oh yeah, goodbye.